Hi Guy, thought we'd do a very special video today. Recently it was the Xbox 360's 10th anniversary, and I mean 10 years is a long time, come to think about it. And you know, where does the time go? I mean, we've had the Xbox One for a good couple of years now. That's not been doing the best, certainly not as well as the 360 was, but that's got its own ups and downs and so on. But yeah, we'll leave that to itself. But I mean, the 360 at the time, going from the Xbox, which was it was a beast of it compared to the PS2 and the Dreamcast and stuff. It was literally a PC in a box, all DirectX enabled and super powered with I think it was a 10 gig hard drive in. I might be a bit wrong there. It might have been 8. But this whole idea of being able to install games on it was sort of roughly where that started. I mean, the whole online thing, it started on the Dreamcast. They beat everybody to the punch, really, for a mass market appeal. I know there's been previous attempts on the retro consoles, like on the SNES Mega Drive with the modems and stuff, but you couldn't really have gaming properly like that until you got to broadband. But Xbox Live didn't come out until a bit later, and they did what they could with it. But the system, I don't think, was really built around it. So it wasn't really until Halo 2 came out. But again, that's something else. But the 360 had this in mind. It was meant to be a big community-driven thing and get people playing lots of games together in big groups and stuff like that. And obviously, it was graphically more superior. I mean, my memory of the launch, I mean, I've just made a list before, but I mean, I had, I wanted, obviously, it was at the time, it was the excitement, and I remember going down to Game, and they were doing a deal for about, I think it was £750, £800, and that was for like the 360, and then all of the launch titles, including Oblivion, which actually got delayed, sadly, but I'll come back to that later. But yeah, some of the games I picked up at the time of launch was Call of Duty 2, just because it was actually a fairly good shooter for that time, and it actually looked pretty good. It was nothing on the later Call of Duties, and the online multiplayer was nothing to the degree you get to these days, but you could see where the series was going, and that's where it sort of had its roots in. It was a very good looking game for the time. The one was Condemned. That was like not a survival horror, but an adventure horror style game where I think you were a detective, going through dark rooms and buildings and stuff, and it looked amazing at the time because the big graphical push was things in the dark and creeping around and using things like your phone to see light. And I mean, today that's nothing. Just it doesn't even look amazing. But back then, I mean, prior to that, the best sort of game with lighting was stuff like the original Splinter Cell, when they were first playing around with like using light through blinds and things. I mean, I still remember that to this day, how amazed I was that you walked down this alley in Splinter Cell and there was like a bulb shining behind these blinds and you could see the individual rays of light. That was such a thing to be excited about. And it's everything. That's how times change. Another good game that came out I had was Gun. I mean, we didn't really get that many Western games. I think there was a Call of Juarez, things like that. Juarez, I can't say it properly. It begins with a J. But Gun was basically an early version of Red Dead Redemption, which came out much later, and it was one of my favourite launch games. I played it to death. I mean, it was GTA as a Western. It had a fairly entertaining story and the world all worked, and it was a proper Western world you could get involved in. Brilliant game. Now, I've never played it since, so I'm not 100% sure if it'll hold up since we've had Red Dead, but I don't know, you probably get it for like a couple of pence these days, so it's probably worth just having a try if you're curious. Cameo, that was one of the rare games. I didn't like it. Again, it came with my Xbox. I think it was included in the pack at the time. Like I said, I'm going through the list of games. I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I spent a small fortune at the time. I didn't go for the every launch game title because I didn't want things like the NBA games or I can't remember what they I mean, that's what I mean. That's how long ago it was. But the full list didn't appear. There was always a few stinkers in there. I went for the Madden game. I always get one Madden game per lifespan of the system, because I tend to like the Maddens, but I'm not a big sports nut or anything. They're always entertaining, but I always find at the beginning of the generation they're not like repeating the old same stuff, because the new machine is so much better than the older machine that they pull out all the stops. Usually, I think with the 360 they fudged, well, they made a bit terrible job. They made it all look great and everything, and you got all the replay videos and nice stuff, but all the content was stripped to bare bones. And we got, obviously, in later issues, reissues and stuff, and later games of it, they improved it, but very disappointing launch game. It looked amazing though for the time. Very controversial, which I sort of like, was Perfect Dark Zero. I just remember all the hype and the craze about it at the time. You know, oh, Perfect Dark's coming back, it'll be fantastic. Rare knows how to do shooters after GoldenEye and the original Perfect Dark. And then what we got was a sort of poor to average shooter. I mean, I completed it several times because it was the launch era. I was very excited to play it, but I mean, going back to it on the Rare collection on the Xbox One now, it's not a very good game. So it was an alright launch title, but it wasn't much better than that. Another one I picked up, I remember well, is King Kong, the movie game. That looked amazing. I saw some fantastic moments. It wasn't too amazing as a game, but again, for the time, for the look, it looked great. The one game which really made me want the system for the whole graphics, especially, was Project Gotham Racing 3. I mean, especially after the earlier versions, and then to get what was coming out on the Xbox 360 at what time, and driving down the streets, the way everything looks, and at the time you thought, oh, it's almost like real. It wasn't, but you know, that's what you think at the time. I mean, I even remember seeing like the sheens of the car and stuff as you're going down the racetrack, and at the time I was amazed by it, but then if you go to the Xbox One games and more modern games and look at them now, they really do look like real cars. But and there's that my brain switching into that, well, oh, it's just because that's all you can get at the moment, you know, maybe it'll change. I just don't know. There was another game which I was dying to get at the time. It was the main reason I pre-ordered the Xbox and got 360 and got so excited, and it was Elder Scrolls Oblivion. You know, I mean, Patrick Stewart was about to do the voice, and all the stuff was coming out in the magazines and internet articles and stuff like that. Yeah, the hype was just amazing. And then I remember I didn't find out until I was actually in game, and I ended up queuing for, I think it was 2, maybe 3 hours, picking up my 360 on launch day. And they didn't do a midnight opening. I had to turn up there first thing, whatever it was, 7 or 8 o'clock, and then just queue for umpteen hours. And there was just loads and loads and loads of people buying so much stuff, and you know, and as I was going through the queue, getting closer and closer, and they were telling some people, oh no, we've not got this and we've not got that, and oh, that's all sold out. And I started thinking, oh crap, I've only put down like £10 or £15 as a pre-order price. What if they don't actually give me the system? But luckily they kept it all, and I got everything I wanted. But then the guy was telling me at the counter, he's like, oh no, really sorry, Oblivion's been delayed. I'm like, what, a week? I just didn't understand at the time. He's like, oh no, he says I've heard it's at least 6 months. We don't have a definite date for it yet. I was gutted, absolutely gutted. But luckily it did come out about half a year to a year later. But I mean, this is the time when it's hard to, a lot of people just won't understand this, but you know, up to this point we're all using CRTVs, and we were just on the verge of going into HD. And I mean, I had I think it was a 28-inch CRT at this point at home, and plugged it all in, and it looked great and everything. Use your best cables, and then later on when all the HD TVs come out, the absolute craze of, oh god, how amazing it looked. And I was in Currys or Comet, I can't remember which one, and I saw this Samsung 32-inch HD display, and it was playing it was playing trailers off Sky at the time, and it just blew me away, like how razor sharp it looked. And I started wandering down there and looking at others, and one of them was doing a few like 360 trailers, and I realised then it was almost looked like as sharp as a monitor, and I thought, I've got to get one of these. And yeah, I ended up buying a £1,700 Samsung TV, and it was only 32 inches. I mean, strangely, I've still got it over in the bedroom. You know, it's been a great TV over the years, but no, but you mean nowadays? I mean, I saw one just yesterday, and I was walking through Tesco, and they had a 49-inch HD TV at 199. And I know it's Black Friday weekend, so it's discounted, but it's just crazy. And I think it was Pioneer or something, so they were selling a big make TV, but bloody hell, you know, how prices drop and change and things. But well, yeah, going back to the 360, talk about TVs there. You know, what a system, what a 10 years we've had with that. Some of the games were happening. There's always stuff with the competitors, but the 360 was just where it was at. I mean, like I say, later on you had things like, you had the GTA games, they were all multi-platform and stuff, but the whole online thing, Microsoft, they just nailed it. They still have to this day. PS4's getting better, but Microsoft has always been there as you know, it just worked better. You could talk and chat to people. That was one of the great things, you know, putting on the headset and then being able to chat and converse stuff and having gaming meets and stuff like that. And of course they kept reiterating the dashboard as well. I mean, when it started it was all like the big, you know, click to slip and slide blades, and then that all changed, and then you can have all backgrounds and avatars and stuff on it. And then by the end it had all gone a bit Windows 8. it looked all, you know, big blocks on the screen, and by the end I didn't like the dashboard. I mean, I've still got a 360 over in the corner which I've not used in ages, but yeah, I do not like the current look of it. But that's the end of it, you know, because they've moved on. But yeah, I mean, I played some brilliant games in it over the years. I say stuff on Xbox Live Arcade was absolutely amazing. Probably one of my favourite games on that was Sensible World of Soccer, which got a re-release umpteen years ago. Awesome fun, because it was, I say, it had World of Soccer because it had all the management element on it. I was hooked on it, and I know there were some bugs in it, and I think the goalkeeper was broken and stuff, but you didn't really notice if you're having a bit of fun play or just focusing on the management side. So yeah, it's had some great games over the year, and of course, you know, the pretty much the entirety of the Halo series. And so, what can you say? Anyway, guys, yeah, I mean, do you have any like collection stories? What happened when you bought one at launch? Did you buy a big pile of games? Did you get any accessories, things like that? I know it wasn't too big on stuff like that, but you know, there's always stuff that, like, third-party things that were extra. Did you go for a similar experience with me? I mean, what was your first experience with HD and that sort of a console? Just post below and let me know. Yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe below.